It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Let's get out of here. Aye. Hey everybody, it's Aaron from God a Minute. There was a few comments in my video entitled "It's Perfect, King David 1,000 Years Before Christ," and a few people were mentioning the age of David, so we'll just talk about that. I think this is actually really an interesting study. With the video, just in case you forget or didn't see it, I had this picture basically saying that from the death of King David to the death of Jesus Christ seemed to be exactly 1,000 years, and from King David to what looks to be the second coming, exactly 3,000 years. Some people get confused with BC and AD. I've got a calculator that I use sometimes to help you out with that, but just think of it as a like a temperature thing, right? Like Fahrenheit and Celsius and negative integers, it just goes below the zero. But this is basically you need another 30 years from 970. So that's basically 1,000 years right there. Okay, but yeah, if anybody needs it, I can send you I can link you a calculator in the comment section below. But so this was already super cool. So check out that video from a few days ago. But so this is what people were saying. Hey, Aaron, King David was 30 years old and he reigned for 40 years and he died at 70 years old. And I thought, you know what? This is a simple chart. Once again, this is really clean and clear. So let's just pull up some of these scriptures and I'll show you where we can reference these things. So 2 Samuel is our first point here. 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 4. It says David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 40 years. So there's our confirmation there. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah for 7 years and 6 months. And in Jerusalem, he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah. So basically, he was 30 when he started, and he reigned for 40 in total. And then if you zip over to 1 Kings, we acknowledge that basically over here, so 1 Kings 2, 10 and 11 more or less, the period that David reigned over Israel was 40 years. 7 years he reigned in Hebron, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years. And there you go. So that seems to indicate that he died at 70. And the other passage that I wanted to read here was in the Gospels. In Matthew, when he was crucified, they put a crown on his head, and over the cross it said, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." It also says that in Luke over here. By the way, that last passage was Matthew 27, verse 37. This one is Luke 23:38, and it says, "This is the King of the Jews." And so we go back to this chart now after all that scripture reading, and we see King David basically started to become a king at 30 years old. And although these are years, and this is the age of King David, the numbers are still exactly the same. It's really perfect. So King David becomes a king at 30 years old. We suspect that King Jesus died in 30 AD, but on the cross it says that he is the King of the Jews, and we are waiting for Jesus to come for his millennial reign through the line of David. So there's your 30 matchup right there. That's really cool. 40 years after the cross was the temple destruction in 70 AD. 40 years after King David was the destruction of his body temple. So his body was destroyed 40 years after he became a king. 40 years after our suspected time of the cross was the temple destruction. So I think that's a really cool parallel. So thank you for the people that noticed this parallel here. And I'm learning a lot from you guys just as much as I teach you. You teach me. It goes back and forth, and iron sharpens iron. And so again, 30, 40, and 70, 30, 40, and 70. And we go back to the grand picture here. It looks like we have our 6,000 year plan just kind of laid out for us real nice. I use this date. Some people say, why do I use this date? I suspect that this is when Adam sinned. I think that Adam lived 33 and a half years without sin before this. So I think that Adam was created in 4005 BC, and then 33 and a half years later, that's when he sinned, ate the fruit of the tree, so to speak, and that's when the prophetic clock started, in my opinion. And from this point to the cross, in my opinion, was an exact 4,000 years, and from the cross to the second coming, 2,000 years. And there's your 6,000 year plan right there. That's what it seems to indicate. I think we're super duper close to being raptured here. Most importantly, guys, this is a relationship with Jesus Christ. It's not enough just to know that he is the Son of God. Even the demons believe that. It's important to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. I have my salvation verses in the description box below, but time is short, and it's really time to get serious about Christ. My catchphrase is "get tight with Christ," and I mean that. It's a very relational thing. King David was a man after God's heart. It says that in the Bible. He had a relationship with Jesus Christ, or God in general, and I pray that you also follow the steps of David, and you enter into a relationship with Jesus Christ. It's not about being perfect. It's about having a relationship with Jesus. King David made a lot of mistakes, but God appreciated his heart. So with that, again, I got my salvation verses in my description box under the video. I've got a Discord where we can socialize and you can ask questions and have video chats. I've got links to clothes and things like that in my description box. Have an awesome day, guys. Go Jesus, go. See you in the clouds. Bye.